Righto guys, welcome to Creepers, Cryptid and Paranormal Corner. Today's episode I'll be looking into a bit of the history and a few encounters on the Mothman. The Mothman seems pretty interesting. It's one of America's most famous cryptids. I'm not too sure if it's a cryptid or something supernatural, not too sure, but I know my auntie bought a book a few weeks ago on, I think it was the Mothman prophecies, and I was talking to her about it and that, and I thought I'd look into it a bit more myself and find out a bit more, and I found it really interesting. I thought I'd learn a bit more and come on and do an episode and see what you guys think about it. But just before I get into the Mothman, I'd appreciate if you could like and share these episodes I've been doing, and if you haven't already, maybe subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. But anyway, let's get into the Mothman. Mothman is known to be a winged hominoid or moth-like hominoid creature, and been known to be all black and have glowing red eyes. As you can imagine, it'd just be ridiculous to see or even be believed. Some people suggest people are having misidentifications with extremely large birds like owls or eagles, or even large herons, which are like a type of a stork or a crane. But when you get into some of these encounters, there's no way in hell the Mothman could actually be misidentified as a large bird. People have described a creature flying with the body size and shape of a human, with wings that the wings sort of vary between 10 to 15 foot wide, and a lot of people have actually described glowing red eyes too. No thanks. The Mothman has been mentioned as a harbinger of doom or a bad omen, as there's been heaps of sightings of this creature around areas just before disasters, be it natural or some sort of structural disaster like something collapsing and stuff like that. But I'll get into this a bit more as we go along. The first known reported sighting of this creature came in the town of Port Pleasant in West Virginia in November 16, 1966. The first encounter with this creature actually involved two couples who were out driving together in the same car. They were going down Route 62 just outside of Port Pleasant. They noticed a creature on the side of the road standing there. It was between 6 to 7 foot tall with massive glowing red eyes. As the driver sort of seen it and noticed it, and they all seen it, started freaking out a bit, he put his foot down and took off heading for town. As they took off, the creature actually spread its wings and started to fly after him. It chased him, and the couples went on to say that the creature was effortlessly gliding along while pursuing them, and even at speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour, which for the guys in Australia and that works out to be at 160 kilometres an hour, so that's fucking wild. The next day, the local paper had an article in there about the encounter the couples had with this human-like flying creature, which put the small town on edge for a long, long time. On December 15, 1967, just over a year from the first encounter with the Mothman, and over 100 more people had come forward about sightings or having encounters with this creature, the Silver Bridge that actually connects West Virginia and Iowa collapsed, killing 46 innocent people commuting in peak hour traffic, and there'd actually been witnesses that were reporting the Mothman had been seen flying around the bridge, and it even seen perched up on one of the sections of the bridge at the time of the collapse. After this bridge collapsed, there was a lot of talk about the Mothman. Was it a bad omen? Was it a harbinger of doom? Or was this creature actually rocking up and turning up to these places to warn people about an incoming disaster? There's actually been so many reports of this creature being seen for multiple times in multiple weeks and months before some form of disaster, from Russia to Japan and plenty of places in between. We're going to have a look at a few more of these reports surrounding a few disasters around the world and the Mothman. First one we're going to have a look at is actually Chernobyl, the nuclear disaster. It actually occurred on April 26, 1986, and it was in the Soviet Union, or as we know it now, Ukraine. This was actually, to this day, was the worst nuclear reactor disaster in the history of the world. There was actually an explosion in reactor 4. It was only a test. It was a test run that actually exploded. But the odd thing was that witnesses reported sightings of the Mothman and other supernatural or paranormal sightings, or odd things happening around the nuclear plant for weeks at a time, leading up to this disaster. There was actually a report of someone someone actually had sighted the Mothman hovering around the plant on the day of the explosion. Next one's Mexico. April 10, 2009. This is when reports started coming in of the Mothman. They're actually around a Mexican state town of Chihuahua. A few weeks after these first reports started coming out about this creature, there was a massive rise in the swine flu cases, and the reports actually continued the whole time the swine flu was running rampant in these towns and states. It's just crazy. The next one worth mentioning, it's not just one country, it was actually the Indian Ocean earthquakes that caused the tsunami on Boxing Day 2004. Before the earthquakes in the Indian Ocean, there've been heaps and heaps of reports spread out all between the 14 affected countries that when this tsunami hit, it actually killed close to 250,000 people. But yeah, in the weeks leading up to this disaster, there was reports coming out everywhere, all over these different little countries, which is just crazy. Like, it's rocked up. People are seeing it. 14 countries, and like they're not far apart, obviously. And yeah, for it all to happen, and then yeah, a couple of weeks later, this devastating tsunami come through and just destroyed so many lives. The next place worth mentioning is actually Japan. On March 11, 2011, in Japan, was actually rocked by a massive magnitude 9 earthquake. It struck just off the coast and actually caused another devastating tsunami. It actually damaged the Fukushima nuclear power plant and caused it to have a meltdown. That ended up being one of the worst ever meltdowns in history as well. So the earthquake destroyed stuff all along the coast. It killed people, which is bad. And then, half an hour later or something, they got hit by a tsunami. It done even more damage and took more lives. And then they have a nuclear meltdown. Just to top it off, which affected even more. And will actually affect more and more people over the years to come. And yeah, you guessed it, more Mothman sightings in and around the coast of Japan, up for weeks up until the day of the disaster, and actually again more encounters and more sightings of this creature flying around on the day of this earthquake. There are plenty more notable encounters around the world. One more worth mentioning, which I don't know if it's true or it's just people tagging along wanting to scare people, but it was 9/11, the Twin Towers. People have reported sightings of this creature for weeks before the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. More reports come from the day of it actually happening and after the attacks. Witnesses talked about seeing it flying around the buildings as it was smoking and before it collapsed. And actually, people had actually seen it through the smoke on the side of the buildings and on the towers just before the collapse. Is this creature involved in the disasters around the world, or is it attracted to these areas just before the disasters? Who knows? Is it a harbinger of doom, a bad omen, or is this creature turning up to try and warn people of incoming disaster? Who knows? What I do know is if I ever have an encounter with this creature, I'll be getting out of the area as fast as I can and getting as far away as possible just to try and be safe. I don't like to think like this, but there is a chance that after the Silver Bridge disaster that people have gone out of their way to lie about other encounters with the Mothman around different disasters around the world just for a laugh or just to scare people, which is pretty shit. I hope people wouldn't be that shitty that they'd actually make up dodgy stories and reports around the disasters where people have lost their lives and just to make a name for themselves or to try and make some money. I really hope this isn't the case, but at the end of the day it's possible. But at the same time, even if 99% of the sightings and encounters are fake, it just means that 1% of the people are actually telling the truth, and that's enough for me to believe that the creature is out there among us. And that's pretty freaky, but at the same time it's pretty cool. But yeah, anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed me getting into a bit of the history and a few of the encounters with Mothman, and hopefully I'll have another episode out over the next couple of weeks. I know it's been a while since my last episode. It's just been a bit crazy the last month with work and the family and all the floods in New South Wales. My town flooded pretty bad, but thankfully all of our family and friends have been safe and weren't really affected too bad. We all feel bad for the families that were affected and lost family members and pets and homes and all their possessions and stuff like that, and our prayers go out to them. and hopefully this crazy weather and the crazy time all over the world settles down pretty soon. I think we all deserve to have a break by now. Now, just before, if any of you guys out there have had encounters with anything cryptid, UFO, or anything else paranormal, or there's something that you'd like me to look into and do an episode on, or any areas around New South Wales you'd like me to go and investigate, let me know in the comments, or you can contact me at CreepersCryptids@gmail.com. I'll have that down in the description. Please don't forget to like and share, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening to Creepers Cryptid and Paranormal Corner. Until next time, keep safe out there, guys. Cheers.